direct from the web, it's Billy Masters Live. And now, please welcome your host, Billy Masters.
Okay, come on. Let's get it going. Never have I been more excited to do a show. Hey, everyone, it's me. It's Billy Masters. It is, oh, God, this is our 55th show. Jesus Christ. So I'm no math whiz, but that's something like what? Like 100 weeks of captivity? No, 25 weeks, 26, 27 weeks of captivity, of quarantine. And Monica put up the date. What is the date? Today, Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Before I even get to today's show, which is pretty exciting for me, Thursday, 3 p.m., John McDaniel from The Rosie O'Donnell Show from Broadway. He's going to be here discussing everything about his career, including his new musical Sticks and Stones, which will be starring Audra McDonald. So Thursday, 3 p.m. Typically, I open with an anecdote about somebody famous that I've met or some sort of experience in the past. And I picked a story that I very well may have told before, but I think it will amuse my guests. So really, basically, this entire show is just to amuse ourselves. So I started writing my column 25 years ago, my weekly column, which, of course, everybody can continue reading at billymasters.com. And so around 10 years in, it occurred to me that I really hadn't done stand-up for at least 10 years. I had hosted a lot of shows. I had been hosting LA Pride, AIDS benefits, different charities, but I hadn't really done a full show. So I decided that it was time to get back. And, I'm really not somebody who says, oh, I'm going to dip my toe in and do 5 minutes somewhere. No, I just booked a show out of the blue with all new material, an hour and a half, because I think I'm that good. And by the way, I'm not, but I also have complete faith that I can wing it, as is evident by these 55 shows. So Chicago was my most popular city that ran the column. And so I figured I'd go to Chicago, and I got an offer from the Bailiwick Theater. And so I figured I'd do 3 nights in Chicago. Now, they have 2 theaters in the Bailiwick Theater. There is a larger theater and a smaller theater. So I said, give me the smaller theater. I think it's at like 100 people, 75 people. In the big theater was Dennis DeYoung. Do you remember Dennis DeYoung from Sticks? Well, Dennis DeYoung wrote a musical version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, this is 10, 15 years ago. Think to yourself, have you heard of the big Dennis DeYoung musical? No, didn't go anywhere. Anyway, so there was a big problem with my planes, and I got into town late. And so I was going to have to basically go directly to the theater for the first show. No sound check, no nothing, but whatever. And I am told in advance that my name is on the marquee, that we've got $1 million of tickets sold, and everything's going to be great. I pull up at the theater. I swear to you, I took this picture the moment I pulled up to the theater. And what it says is, Hunchback Billy Masters, ticks going fast. Okay. Now, I'm an idiot, so I have somebody take a picture of me with a hump because I just think it's the funniest thing in the world. Needless to say, everybody was horrified for me. And that entire weekend, I just laughed. I did Hunchback jokes. It was just craziness. And so, needless to say, that big show of mine also went nowhere. But I had so much fun doing it. And I know that my guests, I was with them the last gig they did before the pandemic or out. I can't even speak. Before the pandemic began. And they almost didn't do that show. And there were lots of mishaps. And we have lived through a lot of mishaps together. So rather than talk about my mishaps, I'd rather talk about somebody else's. So let me bring out 2 of my favorite people in the entire world. They say never meet your heroes. And Christopher Titus was really always one of my comedic heroes. It's weird for me to say that now because I don't think of him as a hero. No offense. I think of him as a friend, and I think of he and Rachel as family. So I'm thrilled to have them here, Christopher Titus and Rachel Bradley.
Hey, yay! And but you're my hero, by the way. The wind. You're the hunchback beneath my wing.
Thank you. I should really do a show about, I should take the title and write a show around that, which is what you would do.
Yeah. I have a question, same story. We showed up, I booked a bunch of tours with, so after my TV show, I had a bunch of theater tours going on, and we're doing Indianapolis, and I show up to the theater, and it said, Elmo's your best friend, and then Christopher Titus. So it looked like Elmo live. He's your best friend, and Christopher Titus. Like I was opening for Elmo, and I took a picture of it. I love the picture because it's one of those things where show business is never okay. It can always go sideways.
No, there was actually a casino gig where we went. I think it was Tahoe, and the billboard was 99-cent tacos. And Christopher Titus.
Yeah.
Titus.
And
tacos.
Yeah, tacos. 99 cents was this big. Christopher Titus was this big. So
you got to know your place in this business.
Oh, they remind you regularly.
Well, the tacos were every week. They had a show. The tacos really had a following.
The tacos are never going to get canceled, and that's the main point.
You will come and go.
That we were together for our last gig.
Yes.
That is just, and you were really nervous about even coming for that gig.
I don't remember.
Florida.
Just remember that you were thinking to yourself, should we even be flying? What's going on? And you were trying to find masks. I mean, we really didn't know what was going on. This was end of February, I guess.
March 8th was our last night on stage.
Okay, so it was the first week of March.
Yeah, we did this
because I was in Florida to go to a gay dance party, as Rachel will remember. And let me just point out, because Christopher doesn't know this, what an asshole Rachel can be.
No.
He knows that. So
I live with her.
I'm at this gay dance party, and I send Rachel this picture of these people dancing. This is right before COVID hits. Rachel looks at this picture, focuses in on this guy, and says, "That's your date for the night."
Didn't I actually circle him and put the arrows towards him or something?
Yeah, you might have. Rachel. But actually, she was very concerned that I was around all these people. So I was from the VIP section. I didn't go around them. But people at that party did die afterwards.
Are you serious?
Yeah, really. There were like within 3 weeks, 2 people were in the hospital who were at that party, and they both died. So, I mean, but we didn't know anything. We knew nothing.
Arrow guy. That would be bad if it was the arrow guy.
I would feel bad. I was not mean.
She's so mean all the time.
Something tells me he survived.
Yeah.
Something just tells me.
He was able to fight it off.
What I find really funny is that Billy's saying that he's like, oh yeah, he goes, we didn't know anything was going on. Yeah, like we're so well informed now. We have all the inside info now. Now we know exactly what this is and how to handle it, and there's been no weird misinformation spread around at all. Yeah.
You would think in 6 months we actually would know more than we did in March, but we don't really.
That was super early on, although he had been, if you remember on the podcast, predicting something was coming that was big because he was watching the news out of China where they were fire hosing chemicals on the people in the streets.
Yeah.
And he and I sat there together and shared nachos. You had flown on different places, whatever.
Oh my God, I forgot the nachos. Yeah,
so sharing nachos, and I think that we had a discussion over how vodka would probably kill it. Okay, because we're not doctors, we're idiots.
And we're also sitting there in the dark eating nachos with our hands, saying, "I wonder if this is contagious."
Is this for real? Is this for real? Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, I was freaked out because I was watching the news. They were literally shooting Roundup on buildings in China. I'm going, guys, this is not just a little flu. So I think that, what do you think about him getting through it, though?
I don't believe anything, just like we were saying about this. I don't know. First, I don't know if he really had it. I don't know how badly he had it. I wrote in my column this week that The one that really has the most to gain out of this is Pence, because if Trump's looking for an elegant way to get out of this, he could die. Melania could die. I'm too grieved to go on. And then you got a Pence presidency.
Dying is it your interpretation of an elegant way to get out of it?
Exactly.
He could die. His wife could die. Elegant, you know.
It's an upside.
And I'm the asshole. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, all right. Well, there's a reason we hang out.
Friends, though. That's why we're all friends. But
Exactly.
I think he had it. If you watched him, it was a Monty Python movie last night, up on the balcony like Mussolini, and so the strong leader can't catch his breath. He went up 14 stairs and was panicking. Watch the video. He's like, it was crazy. Yeah, I think he's in trouble. And they said those steroids he's on are basically, the doctor said if you take enough of those steroids, you could basically walk to your grave.
Yeah, and but the thing is that then you watched Joe Biden last night at the town hall, and for the first time, somebody finally put Joe Biden in the sunlight because he looked a little bit alive. It wasn't like Weekend at Biden's anymore, and he really was with it. And sort of appeared presidential. I mean, I always think he appears presidential, but he had the chance because nobody was interrupting him. So I don't know. I'm waiting for Kamala and Pence. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm reserving my judgment. I think the obvious thing is that she's just going to shred him, but he's also a nice guy. And Ray said that if she shreds him too hard, it's going to look bad. You know,
like Ray said on the podcast, she'll be the angry black woman.
Yeah. That's not going to go well. Biden, I just read something that Christie, when they coached Trump, they basically said because Biden used to have a stutter, the best thing to do is interrupt him all the time to get him off track. And so, if that's what they tried to do, it didn't really work quite well.
It did get him off
track. Oh, hold on, I'm losing my headphones. Hold on a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh wait. Talk amongst yourselves like this. Hold
on. There we go. I was like, I'm having a good time.
Hello, people watching Billy.
Let's now tell embarrassing stories about Billy Masters.
Oh, we have many. You know, by the way, when he said that thing, I was at a dance party in Florida. You could just put any state in front of that anytime. Like, I always wonder, does he just follow us sometimes? No, it's because there's a naked dance party in that state. And he just happens to be there. We've started booking our gigs around his naked dance parties in those states.
So that we can see him.
Yeah. Exactly.
You used to book him around drag racing before we knew.
Yeah. And now the drag shows with Billy.
From drag racing to drag shows. My story of Billy Masters.
It's a very thin thread, but we use it.
Did his microphone go up his butt? It's taken him a minute to find it and then put it back.
Is he a little addled? Did we interrupt him too many times?
Well, that could have been. He is getting older. So
I find it very weird that he's not come back yet, don't you?
I think he's.
But I'm back. I'm back. Be quiet. You know, you thought you were going to get the whole show to yourself. Not quite. This happened once before. This happened last week with Lonnie Anderson. And I had said to Christopher, I had one blonde bombshell last week. Now I need you. The obvious follow-up to Lonnie Anderson is Christopher Titus.
I love Lonnie Anderson. How is she, by the way?
She was great. And can I tell you, you know, a lot of times you have people on the show and you think to yourself, what is Lonnie Anderson going to have to say? And how fun, or is she going to be very... She went there. She talked about everything. She was great. Yeah. But I have to say also, everybody I've had, and there have been 55 shows, basically I've gone down the Rolodex. I'm like, who do I know? Who can I call? Who's going to, you guys have a podcast.
Oh, yeah. We have, it's funny because when you talk about older stars, there was a different rep in those days. And I got to meet Faye Dunaway. When we did Titus, Faye Dunaway wanted to play my mother.
Yes.
And everybody was stoked about it. Like, and I was like, oh my, I mean, legend. Come on, how many, Bonnie Clyde, Network. Faye Dunaway is going to want to play my mom on the TV show. And so I wrote a script where my mom was crazy. And we're in the middle of this food fight, this huge food fight. We're filming the Thanksgiving episode. Faye Dunaway decides that's the moment she's going to come to the show. Now we get the cut, and I have mashed potatoes in my hair. I'm taking food and gravy off me, and they go, by the way, Christopher, Faye's here. And I'm like, Faye Dunaway? Yeah. She wants to speak to you about the script. So I take the mashed potatoes and food off me. I walk down the soundstage, and Faye Dunaway has the script that I wrote, my name's on it, She's got 15 Post-its, and it was a script where my mother, we had to do all these flashbacks. My mom was insane. She goes, "Hi, Chris Fay. Here's what I'm not going to do in your script." It starts going page by page, and everything that made her look crazy, which is the whole point of the episode, she wasn't going to do.
And let's bear in mind, she was only on 15 pages, and there were 15
exactly.
pages.
She was the whole. And then the weird thing about Faye Dunaway, we had everybody all of a sudden. So I go, but I'm still going to hire us. I figure it's Faye Dunaway. What are the odds I'm going to be Faye Dunaway? So I go to wardrobe, and Brent, this guy who's just great, Brent and Cliff, they just go, "Christopher, we are not. There's no way. Here's 2 numbers. Use these guys for wardrobe because we can't work with Faye." So then,
wait, was that an impression of Billy Masters you just?
No, that was.
That really was a little.
By the way, that was an impression of Brent. No, he is Schwarzenegger compared to Brent.
I'm not so sure I take that as a compliment. But go ahead.
In a good way. So I don't know which side of it is. And then what happens is, then I have 2 crew guys come up and go, "Hey man, I can't work that week. Here's a number of guy I'll fill for me when Faye's here." And then I have 2 camera crew guys. Like, I'm not talking just 2 guys. Our cameras, we had 3 guys per camera. 6 guys are like, "Hey man, use these guys." The focus pullers then told a story that he went to pull focus on Faye Dunaway once. He was just pulling focus so the camera could focus on her, and she hit him. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun week. So you never saw Faye Dunaway on the show, and
no, but what people who have followed my column for years, I've actually made a lot of money on Faye Dunaway with an item I called Faye Watch, because when she was touring in the play Masterclass, every stop in the tour, stories would come out. About the best story was she had an assistant who screwed something up, and the assistant's so afraid and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. And Faye says, "No problem, dear. Could you go to lunch? Take my car." Sends the person off in the car, waits 10 minutes, calls the driver and says, "Where are you?" "We're on the freeway." "Pull over. They're fired. Let them out there."
Good. So you don't care that I tell these stories.
Oh, well, but the flip side is that I was up for a role in that very tour. All I keep telling people is, if I got that tour, I would be so much more famous than any of you, because I'd be rich and I would have written a book. And I didn't get the role, but she wanted to meet me. And she told me to bring because it was in Boston at the time.
Right.
And she said, "And bring your mother. I love meeting family." So I brought my mother, who's petite. And my mother turns to Faye Dunaway, who's a little bit of a thing, as Christopher knows.
Yeah.
And my mother turns to Faye, my mother who has no filter. I don't know where she got that.
Yeah, where was that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. And my mother turns to Faye and said, "What are you, a size 2? And Faye turns, "Actually, I'm a 0. And my mother turns and says, "A 0? You got to be shitting me." And I'm like, "You just said shitting me to Faye Dunaway," and Faye's looking, "I don't know how to take that." But she was lovely to me. We took a photo together. There we are, Faye and I, wearing the Bonnie and Clyde hat and everything.
You are
And
very, very pretty. You are very
well, I'm no Christopher
gorgeous,
Titus.
but I'm saying, that's very pretty. Your that's your Timberlake photo. It's your Justin Timberlake.
Oh, wow. You know, somebody texted me last night and was all excited that I was going to have you on the show. And they said, he's always been so gay friendly. He's always been such a good advocate for the gay community. People remember you wrote a special episode of the Titus sitcom, which dealt with gay bashing and the Matthew Shepard killing. Can you talk about that?
We had, it's so funny because I wanted to do it. I never got it. I never understood why people gave a shit so much about who people sleep with. I never cared, And so, and I just never understood it. Even my dad, who was kind of half a racist, he was like, "I don't give a shit." And so we wrote this episode, Tommy's Not Gay, because, we kind of inferred that Tommy, the character, was gay. And what happened was he was raised by a closeted gay man. That's ended up being the story. So he just picked up his dad's love of, whatever his dad loved. And he loved musicals, and he was just into it. But so then we wrote the Matthew Shepard piece. And I said I wanted to take it and stop it for a second, because we'd kind of done all the surface level gay stuff. We'd done all the gay jokes, this and that. And I said, we need to land this. We really need to land this. And I'd read about Matthew Shepard and what exactly happened. And so we wrote this hardcore neutral space where the character Titus, who's kind of a redneck car guy who, just kind of gets it over the neutral space that, wow, they killed him because he was gay. They killed him because he was gay? Because he was gay, they killed him? And you would not believe the argument we had in the writer's room. People were yelling at me. They're like, dude, we can't do it. It's too far. You're taking it too serious. I go, that's what we do every week on the show. What are you talking about? They're like, no, you can't land it like that. Our fans are going to get upset. And Zach Ward, of all people, said to me, he came to me after reading the episode. He played my brother Dave. And he goes, do this episode on Will and Grace. You're preaching to the choir. Do this episode on our show with NASCAR families. You're actually making a difference. And whether we did or not, it's in my top 3 favorite episodes of the show. It was good. Don't want to make it more important than it is, but thank you, man. It was a good episode.
Well, not only that, but as you said, it came from an unexpected place. And, the other thing that's unexpected, and people ask me this all the time, because anytime I've spent time with you, I've written about it. And people are very surprised that I can't think of somebody who's more of a straight guy than you. A pretty straight guy, but nonetheless a straight guy. And as Rachel would be very pleased to affirm, there's probably not a lot of people who are going to be a gay guy than me.
Yeah.
I'm actually her beard, actually.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'm actually a gay guy. And
He's actually my fag hag, so it's fine. It all works out.
I never really felt understood until I figured out I just had to hang out with gay men, and now I have a belonging. You get me.
I also think people don't understand that Jack Kenny and Brian Hargrove were both gay, and they were my co-executive producers of the show. And what you learn really quick. I told the story when I that year they asked me to introduce Matthew Shepard's mother at the GLAAD Awards, and I got to do that. And I told the first story about when I got to LA, because when I got to LA, I was a little homophobic, but I was 19, and I went to my first audition, and I'm sitting there, and they go, and then the 2 guys are on the couch, and they go, well, what do you think about Los Angeles? I go, I don't know, man. I'm meeting a lot of gay people. I'm not quite sure about it. And the one dude puts his arm around the other dude and goes, do you have a problem with that? And I remember thinking, there was no anger. It was really funny. And that was the moment any tiny bit of homophobia that I had as a young child went away. It's such a ridiculous thing. I never understood it. I don't understand. Today, here's bad news for everybody. Did you hear what's happened today? So Clarence Thomas and Alito just issued a thing. They want to take down gay marriage. Yeah, because that's the most important thing in our country right now, you douchebags. That's what we need. I just don't. I'm frustrated by why.
Yeah, and I think just to backtrack on something you mentioned, Brian Hargrove. People who don't know is David Hyde Pierce's partner, husband, and again, you look at the team that put Titus together, and I say put together, although 99% of it is from your stand up, your experience, but the people who were putting it together and producing it and really making it happen, you had a very mixed group of people.
Yeah, they were. Jennifer Fisher. We never cared. I just never had any kind of thing. Are you funny? I don't care who you sleep with. You never met. Are you not funny? Get out. I never gave a shit. The thing with I'll tell you something about David Hyde Pierce. So David Hyde Pierce guested on the show. Here's the arrogance of an actor. And I was executive producer of the show, and I created the show, and brought Jack and Brian in, and they helped me turn it into a TV show. David Hyde Pierce, one day we're on the set, and he's playing this kind of positive thinking leader guy. And I start giving David Hyde Pierce acting notes. God love you. And here's the thing, I didn't get it for about 20 minutes. I'm like, David, no, do it like this. He goes, the character to me feels like that. I go, David, here's how we wrote it, blah, blah, blah. And David Hyde Pierce is the nicest human being in the world. And he just keeps treating me with respect as I'm giving the guy, like he could have just took out like Emmys, like this big, and got, here's 25 Emmys. Do you think more advice, douchebag? And all of a sudden in my head, I hear my dad's voice go, you're giving David Hyde Pierce acting advice. And I went, David, I'm sorry. Do exactly what you want to do. I'm going to walk over here. I'm a moron.
I also remember that episode. And again, he was playing against type, and he was this motivational speaker who didn't he enter on a motorcycle?
Yeah, he entered on a motorcycle. He was really obnoxious. He was kind of half a criminal in it. Yeah, he was. Boy, do you want to talk about a guy? We were really lucky in that show. People say the show was so great, but I had Stacey Keach to bounce off of, which is like playing 2-on-2 basketball with Michael Jordan on your team. And then David Hyde Pierce came in, David Carradine. We had so many amazing people on that show. A lot of it had to do with Jack and Brian. You know, they knew because of all their connections. They brought these amazing people in. I got really lucky. And then I shit the bed.
Yes, you did, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I really want to talk about Rachel. I'm sure Rachel has seen all of these, but last night I went on. You know what I love about doing this show is it forces me to do research on people I think I know everything about,
right?
And then I think, oh my God, I don't know anything about him. When did he do this? So I found some early examples of the Christopher Titus acting.
Oh, which ones?
Oh, Rachel.
Or clowns?
Okay, well, first I want to show this clip. Well, let me just say about this clip. The horse doesn't look like he likes you this
Oh,
way.
no, beyond belief you have this.
Oh, Nugget. Here we go. I need to get a life.
Wait, hold on. I mean, that was that he did not get an Emmy for that.
I sense a carrot embargo coming on. Now that's the magic that is Christopher Titus.
You know, the two of you really, that sweater vest picture and that guy, you guys would have been friends.
Yes.
I look huge in that. I look huge. I look really big in that movie. So the horse was like the one take that we got through. Because the horse kept grabbing my shirt, like he did at one point. I'm like, and so
I get it.
we got through it. Yeah, thanks, man. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna remember this forever.
I know you will. Oh yeah.
When he was shooting Big Shots, Josh used to make fun of the way he swung a golf course and the way he walked and called him Coco the Gorilla. So you got to see the walk.
Yeah, she just said that. She goes, "Oh, there's your Coco the Gorilla walk." Josh Molina during Big Shots would come over to me and go. He would just start talking to me like this. Son of a bitch.
And of course, Mary Jo Catlett, a good friend of this show, so loved her. But I have to say, when I was in acting school in New York, everybody wanted to be on Unsolved Mysteries, and all of my classmates got to do those reenactments like this was beyond belief. That was big business for beginning actors.
Yeah, it was my first. It was the first time I'd gone through. My training is all Viola Spowman improv training, and it was my first kind of gig after I'd at least had a few years of acting training, as opposed to just winging it with my stand-up.
What year was that?
Oh, God.
No, I didn't look, but it's his second credit.
After
the clowns, yes. I figured everybody has seen that. So
when I first moved out here. It was not long after that TiVo came around, and I still haven't seen all of the Titus episodes, and I didn't know what he did, and he didn't know either at that point. And so you could enter someone's name, remember, and it would record everything that he was in, and I really learned a lot about him that first year because he didn't even mention that. I was never going to see that. Still hasn't seen every episode of Titus, and we've only been together 14 years. I'll give her some more time.
Oh God! See, she's got better places to go. No, I know. Is that the good one or the bad one?
Okay. Hold on. Sorry.
All right. Was that okay?
Yeah.
Better.
I'm turning.
Okay, good. Just making sure because I know Rachel's got things. Then I'd heard about this clip for a long time. I had never seen it. Never. Oh, this is your life, Christopher Titus.
I know this is horrible. I can't believe we agreed to do this. I should have known it's you, though. Of course you were going to do this.
Is this going to be 21 Jump Street?
Oh my God, it wasn't going to be, but let's go to 21 Jump Street.
No. Why are you doing me? This is
so people should know when Rachel and I and Christopher are together, sometimes it's Rachel and I on Christopher, sometimes it's Christopher and I ganging up on Rachel.
Not as often. Oh, well, it was the two of you the night that you saw me perform in a tiny little room for 8 people. Yeah, you were both assholes. Never going to forget that.
Okay, first off, let us point out that I skipped going to that Prince tribute special to be an asshole in that room.
That's right. Yeah, we both thought you were stupid for that, by the way.
Yes, you both did. As a matter of fact, both of you said, well, you could do this show and we'll go.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to know that you had already seen me do the whole show several times. Like you knew the whole show by heart. You were like, you and Christopher were my dance moms doing, you know, in the audience doing faces, and you still skipped it and came so that you could both sit in the audience and ridicule me for an hour and a half. So I really.
Well, I think at one point you said that we were like the old men in the balcony on the Muppets.
Emphasis on old.
Oh my God.
Well, that was the night Christopher got up and took your drink away from you. No, took the cards. Remember, she had her cards on the stool?
Right.
He gave me a drink and took my notes.
Yes.
It's really messed up, actually.
But that's how she liked it.
And that was also the night Christopher and I are sitting there in the back. There's a small room. And she said something, which I said, oh, good, that lands. And I take a drink. And Rachel decides to throw in a topper that I don't see coming. And I'm sitting next to Christopher, and I literally do a spit take in the person sitting in front of me's head.
I wish I could remember what that was. I wonder if that tag landed in the special.
It definitely did, because wasn't she working on her special at that time, right?
No, it was the week. I think it was the second practice run, so it was the week before. Yeah, I have an audio of it, and I'm sure because Christopher burst out laughing when I spit, and so I'll have to go back and
it. Oh my gosh!
No, well, because I always have to give you notes, so I go back and read. But I don't think I ever listened to that, so I don't know if I still have it.
I don't blame you.
Well, dude, it's great that you're always there. Sometimes, like you'll show up so many times on the road, especially when I'm working on a new show. I'm like, damn it, I haven't done any new material yet, and you always have great notes, man. You always have great notes.
Well, can I tell people who want to study comedy? One of the things I can recommend, or young comedians, if you get the chance to go to Christopher Titus numerous times during a tour, you will actually see how an act is constructed from the very first. And I think it was this last tour that I saw the most, because sometimes you're all over the country when there's not a pandemic going on, of course.
Or a naked dance party for you to go to. I got it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if I can combine the two, it's a win-win for everybody.
It's what we call a win-win.
It was weird this year. Our schedule really aligned with yours a lot.
A lot. Well, also the other thing was you were putting together your special, which really was so exciting for me. And I think I know, Christopher, we haven't forgotten about 21 Jump Street, so don't worry about it. Rachel's special is coming out soon. Alpha Chick. How are things going with that, Miss Bradley?
It's up for sale now.
They're shopping. We're shopping.
It's being shopped right now. And if nobody buys it, because a lot of people aren't taking acquisitions anymore, but we still chose to do it ourselves because we want to own. He went to the print school of own your own art. And so no matter what, we own it, and we plan to live stream it like we've been doing a lot of shows since the pandemic started.
I got to tell you, man, it is, it's so funny. I've seen so many specials since, and I never want to put females into a female category, but it seems like so many females try to be dudes, get really dirty, and instead of just being themselves, they get dirty and vicious and brutal. And the stories she tells are so like amazing. Like one of the stories is like 16 minutes. The O-Face story, the O-Face story.
I do.
She's not one of those loud middle acts. She's really a headliner. I really dig it. She's really great.
Well, what I love about both of you, and I think this has probably changed over the years, but I didn't know this firsthand for Christopher, but I have seen it with Rachel, is your material is so authentic. It really comes out of you. Nobody else could do this material. And finding your own voice on stage is a really tough thing for all comedians. No matter how long you've been doing it, you get used to being on the stage person. The hardest thing is actually just being on stage the way we would talk.
Yeah.
Right.
Same with acting. The hardest thing is to actually remember to be yourself. I can remember the moment, and he and I were just talking about this because his daughter is getting into music, and we were talking about, everyone says 10 years to find out who you are as a performer.
Absolutely.
And it's a brutal 10 years, and you cry sometimes a lot, especially if he's your sensei. He was the Titus School of Teaching. And I had some moments, I got called some names, I got yelled at. And I just remember this moment where he calls it growing a tumor on your soul. We were in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I can remember the exact moment. And I was mad, and I felt like I was trying to get over, which I was right. I was trying to get over with the audience. I wanted them to like me. It mattered so much that they liked me. You remember this, me. And he said, you, right now, this next show, Late Show Friday in Florida, I want you to go out and tank it. And I said, what? And he said, I want you to go tank. I want you to tank horribly. I want them to boo you out of there, but you have to say something that comes from here and that you want to say. It's something that you need to say that's been burning inside of you. And I was like, there's nothing I need to say. And then, but really, I didn't start out as a pro-woman comic. It wasn't necessarily who I was. Yes, you were. You're pro-woman. She's a pro-woman person constantly. I live with her. Yeah. You know,
but the material wasn't that.
Exactly.
No, right.
And I didn't think that was my platform, is what I mean. I've always been pro-women, and my mom was a feminist. But I didn't think that was what I needed to say. That wasn't my thing. And that's what came out of me that night on stage. I did the C word bit. And then I had nothing else like that to do. And so the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, it was amazing. And then I was like, so anyway, and I got off stage, although the second half tanked. I got off stage. How
I had the same experience with
fired up I was, you know, because he had empowered me to not worry about the outcome and to just go say what I needed to say. And that night turned the entire course of my comedy.
Before that, was there anything that in your old act that the new you could still use, or did you have to flush everything?
Yeah, I dropped a lot of stuff that I did try to revive for when I was putting the special together, and I just couldn't. I wasn't me anymore. Some of it was me, the childbirth and the Nazi bit. Yeah. Some of it I just realized I was just trying to be edgy, you know, and it's not who I am anymore. You know, my comedy, I would say, is kind of edgy, but it's not intentionally so. It's just me being honest. Back then, when I was younger doing it, I was trying to be hard. Right. I was tough. Also, touring with me is kind of a pain. You know, I'm doing like pedophile crucifixions, and I'm doing like bits like that. And so when and she started touring with me pretty early, and so that's, she didn't have 50 different people to look at. She had me, and you know, I have a specific way about doing comedy and writing stories. Because of that, though, she's an incredible storyteller. You've seen her.
Yeah. Well, what I love about Rachel, and it has evolved, is the long form stories. That they are, you know, and it's funny because Christopher's a storyteller, but you're both storytellers in completely different ways. And I think when you live with somebody and work with somebody that often, it's so easy to pick up their rhythms and their voice, which you guys can do personally in your real life, but on stage you are very different.
Yeah, she's a strong personality. She's I don't think I could have ever influenced her to be me.
Do you know what I find though, Billy, is that he really does try to be me on stage, and you know, he just has picked up my rhythms, and he's trying to be all pro women, which is weird.
I'm also getting a boob job, so I'm good.
There was something I had texted Rachel like just a couple of weeks ago, that when she does the commercials for you, she does the Butcher Box commercials.
Oh, I been you on this day.
Yes, and I said to you, I quoted Rachel and said, you can decide how much meat you want in your box. And I went, how did that just go by unspoken?
And I'm a master at that. And
I know you are.
He texted me like a disapproving father, like, you have failed.
But by the way, that is the best ad campaign for that company ever. I'm in. I'm totally in. I go, well, how much meat do you want in your box? A lot.
And Rachel just texted me back, and I could see she's typing and then thinking and typing and thinking. And then all I get back is, I have failed you. And
I can't believe I missed that.
I was very surprised. And, by the way, Christopher, you're doing a good job staying out of her box right now.
Yeah.
He has sort of.
I want you to know, man, she's really come a long way. It took her 10 years. She wrote that special. We filmed it on February 2nd, right before they kind of shut everything down in March. We had
a marquee.
And when it comes out, I think everyone's gonna be impressed. It's another level. It's just not a normal comedy special. The journey, and especially for women, right? I mean, I find it with these people that are running our government right now. Even the women are getting marginalized. They were talking about the Supreme Court nom that she's in some religious thing that thinks that women should submit to their husbands. And all I thought about was I thought, oh, I can't wait.
We actually took, as in we, I mean me, took obey out of our marriage vows. Obey, please. I'm not promising that.
Oh, I didn't know. I don't think I knew that.
Huh?
I don't think I knew that.
Oh, could you have guessed that?
I could have guessed it. I suppose now that you say it, I'm like, well, yeah, no kidding. Because she's going to have to either take it out or have her fingers crossed behind her back.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of asshole wants that in his, what dude goes, no, you got to leave obey in. Like, what? Like that dude, that ain't going to last very long.
So let's go back to Christopher Titus's career. So now, Rachel, you want 21 Jump Street. Is that what you want?
I do. Woolly Bullies.
Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. But there's another. Oh, there's so many good clips we have coming up, Christopher. Here's 21 Jump Street for you. The acting. Oh, I brought Lily so Rachel could see that.
Yay! Hi, Lily. Yeah, man. So that I didn't know crap about acting at that point. I think that's my third credit. And so that smoking scene, I just kept smoking cigarettes between all.
Oh, really?
I went through probably 3/4 of a pack. I don't smoke. I went through 3/4 pack of cigarettes, and I was sick for 2 days after that because I didn't know that you just snip it off and light it again. No, I smoked it down to it had to match because that's what you're thinking about in that scene because my acting is so good.
Well, the fact that the cough then is very authentic.
Yes, it was.
Did you know now how high his voice was then?
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's weird. It's like your balls hadn't dropped yet.
Still haven't, frankly.
Yeah, they have. Can't you hear it now? They've
oh, yeah. Well, they've come, they've gone, they've been removed, they've been reattached. His testicles have been around the bend.
Yes, they have.
That is true.
Yes, they have.
And I don't mind admitting it. I remember, I told Christopher this before, but I've never said it on the air. I moved to LA, I guess 2000, maybe 1999, 2000. But the year before, I had been in, maybe 2 years before, I'd been in Los Angeles and I saw a bunch of people. I'd been to LA a lot before I moved there. Right. And I remember seeing Christopher at the Hudson stage. What year was that, Chris?
Oh, man, the Hudson. Oh no,
I want to say it's like 98.
No, dude, that was like no. You must have come down and visited because they had run a review of Norman Rockwell's Bleeding, and I'd rented the Hudson. For
before the show.
Yeah, for Norman.
Yeah. Oh no, it was before the show. Yeah,
this had to be like 95, 96, man.
Yeah. So I remembered seeing it way back, and I remember thinking to myself, because I didn't know what it was. Was it a stand-up? Was it a theater show? It was this weird hybrid that nobody had done at that point. And that's got to be really a strange thing to do, especially as a comic, to just kind of put together a one-person show that is stand-up based and yet theatrical. And I've always wondered, how did that come about?
Well, I think here's the problem I have with all these. So what happened was there was this chapter of everybody wanted to do a one-man show, right? And what I think what everybody thinks that means is to stop being funny and cry or tell a horrible story about your being molested by your uncle. And I always thought, I saw Lily Tomlin do Signs of Intelligent Life years ago in San Francisco. And my manager at the time, I think it was 18, I was 19 at the time, 20, sent me to watch it while she was working on it. And the one thing that Lily Tomlin did with that show was she made sure that there was a laugh every 22 seconds. There was a laugh. And I walked out of there, and I always say I walked out of there feeling like, well, I need to quit comedy and be a welder because I'll never be that good. When I finally got rid of my old act, Norman Rockwell came out of the same thing I told her about, growing a tumor on my soul, where I just, every time I do a bit that I've written, it was as it was getting to my head so I could say it, I would just hate it. I would see this bit coming and hate it. So I threw everything away. I did a landmark form. I threw everything away, and I wrote Norman Rockwell's Bleeding. And it was so different in a sense that I was talking about my mom's suicide and my dad's abuse and my mom shooting and killing her husband and her mental illness. And
all big laughs, by the way.
This subject matter, no one had even approached with comedy. But I did. I wrote punchlines for it. And again, the situation, the subject matter, my mom's mental illness, her killing herself, not funny. But how I reacted around it, what happened around it was. So I found a way to write it, and I wrote it. And I took the last $8,500 I had. I rented the Hudson Theater for Mondays and Tuesdays for 6 weeks. And that's how Titus came about. But the reason I wrote it like I wrote it, because it's not fair to, I don't want to drag the audience through my nightmare unless it's entertaining. I'm not there to scare you. I'm not there to make you sad. I'm there to make you laugh. So if I make you sad for a second and then I just pull you out with a laugh, I saved you. Anybody that leaves an audience in that place of pain, despair, sadness, that's not our job. Our job is to let them feel okay. I mean, look at it, man. It's going to sound too big, but I like to give them light at the end. Give them a little light. I'll drag you through the darkness, but there's light. We'll get to the other side. I don't know.
How much had the show changed between, maybe when you first started it versus when you got the Titus show? Did the tone change, or did you really stick to what you wanted to do?
I did it on the road. It's funny because
same thing as now.
Yeah, I break all of my shows in, even the dark parts. I think if you've made the audience laugh for 50 minutes, you've earned 3 minutes of dragging them through horror. And then as long as you make them laugh on the other side of it. So in fact, I had a great manager at the time, Bruce Smith at Omnipop. He's Maria Bamford's manager and stuff. And he's amazing. Mm-hmm. He actually said, it was all about my childhood. And he said to me, he goes, you need to add some adult stuff in it. So I want you to talk about your relationship with your current wife and your ex-girlfriends. And so I took it on the road and I broke it in El Paso. 2 weeks before that show was at the Hudson, and I written these, and all I did was every show work on those bits. And so when you saw it, those bits were literally 3 weeks old, some of those bits.
Wow.
But it changed the whole show. So it didn't change that much, man. Once we got it to Titus, Jack and Brian had decided that this is the show we're going to use. We literally took verbatim bits from the act and put it in the TV show. Yeah, the Neutral Space. In fact, the pilot Neutral Space is literally all the jokes from Titus, except for the ones that Fox said, you can't say that.
And Anti-Dad.
Anti-Dad was.
Well, so, Rachel, you just set them up for me. Thank you so much. So I have a clip, and I want to show really the relationship between the first special, which people can see online or buy on ChristopherTitus.com, and how it got incorporated into the sitcoms. Take a look at this.
I just thought he had an alter ego. Like he was a superhero. The most negative superhero on the planet. Anti-Dad. Wherever there is hope, I will stop it. Where self-esteem rears its shiny head, I will be there to kick it in the testicles. Hey, Dad, I got a B on my report card, but it's not an A, is it, son? And now that the smile has left your face, I'm off. Hey, Dad, I graduated high school. Graduated high school, huh? Well, you didn't come close to valedictorian, did you, loser? When your confidence returns, so will I. Anti-Dad.
Wherever there is hope,
I will stop it.
where self-esteem rears its shiny little head,
I will be there to kick it in the testicles.
Hey, Dad, I got a B on my report card.
But it's not an A, is it, son? Now that the smile has left your face, I'm off.
Hey, Dad, I graduated high school.
But you didn't make valedictorian, did you, boy? When your confidence returns, so will I.
I mean, it is literally verbatim.
What a nice edit. To your staff, I want to say great job.
Hello. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah, it was one of those bits, and because we wrote the show the way we wrote it, it just worked, and that's where the black and white stuff came from. You know, the neutral space came from all the stuff, and we just filmed an episode of the show. It's going to be back up. We actually did you see it?
I saw it. Yep.
And we did it well during COVID, I thought.
Well, I was really impressed that it looked as good as it did, because you go into these things saying, all right, let's go in and give it liberties that they're doing it themselves and it's COVID. No liberties need to be given. It really looks great.
No. So that'll be up on the website. If you guys want to see the final episode of we never got to do, shot it during COVID with Stacy Keach. Stacy Keach, we kept him in the show, even though his wife
the
said
full
he can't.
cast. It's the full cast.
Yeah, the full cast. Everybody's in it, and so that'll be up next week. Yeah,
And a little bit of Rachel.
She's in it at the end. She's so funny. She's so funny. Yeah.
It's always funny talking about how he does these bits about horror and tragedy. He makes them so funny, you know. And you've been with me when we're at the merch table and people that have come to his show but don't necessarily know him. And they say, okay, can you tell me what each of these specials is about? And we'll be like, well, this one is mom shoots and kills her husband. This one he nails a priest to the cross for being a pedophile. This one he had his daughter right before 9/11. This one his wife accused him of beating his children. Oh, really? And I always look at people and they're like, and I go, no, but it's funny. It's really funny.
It's really funny.
Oh, I also love when you and I are at the merch table before he comes out and people will say, what is he like? And I go, did you just see the last 90 minutes? That's it.
That a-hole. He's kind of like, she always calls me lovable a-hole. That's what it is. Like you, my brother.
And he walks around the house with a lapel mic on. It's all the same. It's all the same.
I'm amplified.
Gesticulating wildly. Yes, I know.
You know.
Yes, I do. Well, that's the other thing is, Christopher, you've really been a road comic, and every year, I guess like a year and a half, there is a completely new show.
Yeah, I think it's my job, isn't it? Carlin said something. That came from years ago. Carlin was in an interview. Oh no, it's actually I heard it through the grapevine. You know, you sit around with comics and
your buddy Neil.
Yeah, and everybody. Yeah, Neil Boble had lunch with him, and he told Neil, he just ripped on him at lunch. You know, he's having lunch with his hero George Carlin, and he's like, I can't wait to just get into his head. And George Carlin ripped him a new a-hole the entire lunch. He goes, so how long have you been doing your act? He's like, oh, about 8 years. 8 years. He goes, you guys are lazy as shit. What are you doing? He goes, your job is to do new jokes all the time. And Neil was kind of had PTSD from this meeting with Carlin, where he had been kind of handed his ass for not doing his job. And when Neil told me, you ever have something hit you like the truth?
Yeah. Where
like it just gets into your soul and that's what, and I told her, she probably remembers it. I got divorced. She had moved in with me in about a year later, and 6 months later, and I told her, I said, I'm going to do a new special every year and a half. And I have so far.
You said you had a goal. You wanted to beat how many did Carlin have? And you
14.
Said he had 14, but 20 something albums, right?
21 albums, 14 specials. Yeah.
And you said you wanted to pass that.
I just set the bar. They will never be that level, but I set the bar.
The number.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly think you
want to be like the Walmart of comedy, not high quality.
You keep cranking it out. No, but I've been with you at those lines where people really connect with you and they are very loyal. And you got to remember, we're talking about a sitcom that they saw, how many years ago was the Titus show?
20 years.
20 years.
Well,
almost
2000.
Yeah. Oh, wait, now we're losing you. There you are.
We lost you, then he lost us.
Yep, we're back.
He makes me crazy because, you know, when you're first starting, well, for many reasons, we'll get to that. I've got some clips I'd like to show as well.
Oh, good.
that would be the best.
Some of them are with horses too, weirdly enough.
Nugget.
You know, I may call you Nugget from now on.
No.
Your little pet name.
I have noticed, you know, when you're first starting out, like Norman Rockwell's Bleeding, he did for 10 years, something like that.
I did because I did a TV show, though I did it from 95 to TV show 96 to 98. Got the TV show, also, stopped doing comedy pretty much, and then we filmed it in 2004. But
also, when you're newer in comedy, you're also just learning how to be a comedian, like we were talking about. So you work longer, right? So I'm trying to give myself justification. So I've worked on this show sort of for the whole beginning of my career, but I have watched him every special has gotten faster. I have watched the process.
Oh, really?
Every time I watch him become instantly miserable when one airs, and Bruce Smith, you can't even enjoy it. You can't even just take, you're on, he's already saying, oh my God, I don't have any new material. And so I have watched the velocity increase. He already has written the outline for all the bits, title, everything of the next show.
Not all the bits. I have it in my phone.
Well, I remember, weren't you at the dentist when something came to for the next show?
Oh God, I forgot that bit.
No, that you have it in your notes.
No, that's in my notes. Yeah, they put me on. So they took a molar out, and they basically, when they pulled the root out, it looked like this. It was this cuff. It gets how big it was. But they had me on. I was in so much pain that no matter how high they cranked the nitrous up, I still felt it. So whatever they did, I think they killed me at one point. I'm telling you this, man. I was laying there, and I went out. I left. I literally saw the dental chair. I went through the roof. I was in space, and I looked back. I turned around and looked back at the earth. Dude, this had went on I'll never forget this. I looked back at the earth, and I thought, none of it matters. We're this tiny in this big universe, and no matter what I do, how successful or unsuccessful I am, none of it fucking matters. And the next thing I know, and I had this weird ease. I forgot about this. Thank you for reminding me of this. The next thing I know, the doctor's slapping me. He's like, hey, wake up. And they're panicked. They'd cranked my oxygen down so low that whatever happened, I was in another realm.
Well, and here's the thing that makes me crazy. This asshole has a near-death experience and then has the nurse grab a dry erase pen and write on the board what he just realized for his next show so he won't forget it.
I grab the nurse. I go, hey. So I got my stuff. I got a pillow in my mouth. I'm like, Julie, I need you to write something down. She goes, what? I go, no, you need to write that. I go, just write down, remember this. And the weirdest thing was, when I got done and I woke back up, I didn't remember what had happened, and I saw remember this on the board, and it all came back. So that's gonna be the bit that I'm writing a bit about that incident. Wow, thank you.
The only reason that you forgot is because of COVID. Because otherwise, you and I both know he would have already filmed this Carry Monsters and have started breaking in the bits. And actually, I before COVID, I saw you break in the dental bit at Flappers without writing it.
Right. I did it.
And killed.
I riffed one night with it.
Oh, I don't think I was there that night, so I missed that. See, that's what I miss. I miss when you're really putting the new show together, because that's where, people who want to see people put great shows together, they have to really see it at the beginning, because it is a process. And you also can't get frustrated if it doesn't kill. It's not going to kill for a long time.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that, like Steven Spielberg said, thank God for the fifth rewrite. It takes. I've really gotten over failing. Every time, I'll call Flappers and go, I'm going to break in 45 new minutes, and I'll just run through the 45 new minutes. And I don't know, man. I think so many comics are afraid of having a bad show, but
well, you usually get your first one. That's sort of comedic folklore. You get your first one, right? Yeah. So the first time you do it, whatever it is, whether you're bringing life or wonder or adrenaline or whatever to it, it goes pretty well. You think, I got this down now, new material, and then 10 times it tanks. And Billy and Titus sit in the audience and laugh hysterically at you.
I'll tell you a story about Carlin. I got to see him. We spread my dad's ashes at Caesar's Palace in Tahoe, which is it's in one of the stories. Yeah, 5th annual End of the World Tour.
Oh, and Shant. Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So because I had the TV show at the time, the concierge gave us. I'm sitting at the stage. The stage is here. Carlin's right there, and I'm a huge fan of Carlin. So but I don't realize it. I look down. He's got giant cards taped to the stage with his new material. He's working on his next special, and I'm hysterical. But we're in Tahoe, and it's in the middle of winter, so all these skiers are there. I'm laughing so hard, I don't realize that he's not killing with everybody else. I don't. I'm laughing too hard. And then what happens is that all of a sudden Carlin goes, well, everybody, he goes, I'm supposed to be up here for 5 more minutes, but honestly, I don't like you people. And he walks off the stage. I was like, even Carlin had a moment where he's like, this audience blows. I'm
That
out.
story always gave me hope when I was on stage while the two of you were laughing hysterically at me. That even Carlin had or thought he had bad shows. And at that point, he was Carlin. He was already peak performance, peak career.
Yeah.
And we all, no matter what, we try and do new things and we tank, right, guys?
Well, but don't you enjoy? I mean, I don't want to say you enjoy watching somebody tank, but you enjoy watching the process. And even when they tank, it's still funny.
Yeah.
Maybe because we understand the process, but watching Rachel try to find the laugh is really funny.
Yeah, it really is. Well, if there's somebody that can tank well, I mean, some people, the sad thing is, the worst thing to do when I see a comic like having a bad show, he's like, oh man, I'm having a bad show. That didn't work. God, that didn't work. That's not the way to tank. I love it when a guy goes full out into it. He's like, well, okay, let's try something else you won't understand. And he owns how bad it's tanking and then is funny about how bad he tanked. That's what I learned.
I'm sorry. Is that
you're great at that.
Saying he, but let's say he or she, because at that last run through before Rachel's taping, what was really funny was that she just got pissed and aggressive, and she leaned into the fact that people weren't laughing and like, I dare you not to laugh.
And I did crowd work too. Do you remember?
Oh, you did, and you never do.
No.
Never. But I decided to give them all characters, all 8 of them. Let's point that out.
I was just going to say, there were that guy. Oh, the guy that was there on his first date. Oh my God. Yeah. Now that was a night.
But that shows everybody needs. My daughter's in music now. And Ray keeps saying, she's a good singer. She's a great songwriter. And
she has a single coming out this Friday.
Single coming out this Friday called The Devil Is a Dylan. And she just does, and we're both we're both worried that she doesn't have the stage time. She needs to get on stage.
She has no stage.
Who does right now?
Yeah. Well, Richard Mark said, he said that she needs to get into every club with 3 people who aren't listening to her and play those songs over and over. And she will. But
that's when you develop that, where you just lean into it instead of letting them run the room and run the show. You take charge because you get so frustrated about trying so hard and them not giving a shit, right? That's where we become performers. We can handle anything.
I think the only way you can really get to that point is by playing every toilet around the country. I mean, when I started in Boston, I was, a beginner, and I wasn't playing the good clubs. I wasn't even playing the so-so clubs. I was playing the clubs that you did stand-up standing on a pool table or with a piece of wood on top of beer cases. And they'd say, okay, now it's stand-up night. And people are like, it is? And all right, but if you don't do that, you can't handle anything that comes your way.
Yeah.
Right. You become a diva. There was this place called Casa Carlitos years ago. It was in the Bay Area. And they would turn these they had these old Coca-Cola cases, and they would put a piece of cut plywood across them. And you would do a show on Sunday night. Well, one thing I did with Stephen Pearl, very funny guy. And he used to write for Robin Williams a lot. And what happened was that we do this great show. It was all right. And this guy comes up to us. And it's weird because the people in those clubs are exactly the level of those clubs. Yeah. This guy comes he's wearing a jumpsuit. He's wearing this velour jumpsuit, big fat guy in a velour jumpsuit. And he goes, you guys do private shows? And I go, yeah. And he goes, all right, we're going to do a private show. I go, when? And he says, tonight. It's 11:30 on a Sunday. I go, yeah, that doesn't sound exactly okay. And I go, well, we had to get paid first. And he goes, well, how much? And so I doubled my fee instantly. I was opening. I go, $150. And Steven looks at me and he goes, and I need $250. So I know Steven's getting $125. So
or he's done.
Or he's done. So the guy goes, okay, wait here. Now you got to remember, Billy, this dude's got Elvis glasses on. He's got a snifter of brandy the whole time. It's the weirdest dude ever. He disappears and we sit in the club. There's no one there. Chairs are up on the table. Guy comes back with the money. We go back. He goes, now follow me to my house. To your house? So we get in the car. Stephen Pearl goes, all right, Titus, there's a knife under your seat. I got a gun. and I remember thinking, why do you get the gun? So we drive through this horrible neighborhood in Hayward. We go to this guy's house. and we're in their house. We go from the kitchen to their little living room, and there's this guy, there's Brandy Snifter guy, or Fat Elvis, we can call him whatever, and these two other people on the couch and a dog. And I said, we need to get paid first. The guy pays us. Then he takes out
a show.
Then he takes out a Mission Impossible reel-to-reel recorder. He goes, do you mind if I tape it? Well, okay. He tapes it. I open my show. I only had 30 minutes at the time. I did the exact same 30 minutes to two very uncomfortable people and this guy who kept laughing. Stephen Pearl comes out, does the exact same 45 minutes he just did.
They were uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, it was so bizarre. And the dog just kept doing this, looking at it. And Stephen gets to this bit. He used to do this bit like Scarface doing nursery rhymes. And he starts doing these nursery rhymes. He's going, motherfucking goose rhymes. And he starts doing Scarface. Well, the guy's so hammered at this time, he starts getting up and hugging Stephen Pearl. Stephen Pearl's from Jersey. So the third time he did it, Stephen grabs him by the front of the shirt and he goes, if you touch me one more time, I'm fucking killing you. And the people on the couch go, it was their house. They go, you guys can go. And we got in the car and left. Most money I'd ever made in my career to that day.
But again, that's also owning who you are, because you have to just sort of be, it doesn't matter where you are. You have to just do the show.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't get. I've done shows. I got booked for a big, huge, like this big tech firm. And this one I'm still starting out. I was young, but in Silicon Valley, and they booked me to their picnic. And I know, all right, it's going to be a picnic, and they're building a stage, and like it's me, like a concert. Showed up. Nope, it was just a bunch of people standing around, and I stood on a picnic table in the round and just did comedy.
And that's it. And whether they laugh or not, you got to do the show.
Big check. You just do it. I had to pay the rent.
I think this when I was first starting out, and it was one of those bringer shows, but I didn't have any friends. And so he was it. And which made all the other comics uncomfortable. And it was in a pizza joint in Burbank or North Hollywood or something.
That sat 17 people.
Yeah, it was like a very narrow, long little space. And people were coming in to get pizza, not to watch comedy. And as the door would open, it would open in front of you while you're doing your jokes. So you would find your punchlines and then the dude that was putting it on was, everybody in LA is an aspiring something. And he was an aspiring electrical guitarist who had an amp that was 3 feet by 4 feet. And in between jokes, he would do an electrical guitar riff.
Interlude. He would do an interlude between. But dude, the funny thing was this. So I'm in the back watching it, and they would open the door, and then the comic would move to the side, and then come back in after the door shut. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was cool.
Oh, it was awesome. Why didn't you tape that?
I'm glad I didn't know you
maybe
did.
Do a sketch. So, but
maybe the next special can be there.
Definitely, we should do that. It should be the opening. But if you guys want to see, her special will be coming out pretty soon.
Yes.
If you guys want to do live shows, we're doing Combustion Live. We're putting on comics. I'm going to be doing a bunch of new stuff and the revamped version of Carrying Monsters in November.
November 14th.
November 14th.
We're going to do his new show. We're going to live
again.
Because we figured it out. We finally figured out the mics and the laughter, and now it looks like a professional show. That was just the first time I did it. It was just insane.
Well, you were your own guinea pig.
Yes,
I was.
He always is.
Exactly.
And then we're gonna do a show together in December.
Yeah, December we're doing
the love show. Then what is it? Me, love, something.
It's called Us. Yeah.
When are you coming back? Ever?
Yeah, I don't know. It it depends. Let's see. If the old people die, I'll be back quicker.
Okay, all right. I mean, not hoping for that, but hey, this is on.
No, I know. No, it's all right. They are so used to me. I think they're probably rooting for the coronavirus at this point just to get me out of here. No, I told Rachel, I think after the first, because I'm getting a little stir crazy. I mean, I haven't been in Boston this long in a very long time. And once the cold weather starts, I'm out.
Yeah.
What is the website? Is combustionlive.com? Is that what it is?
Combustionlive.com. You can check our shows. We've done Ron Funches and Fortune Feimster. A couple shows. We're going live stream. We got 3 cameras. We kind of produce it, we wanted to do like a live broadcast. We have a switcher, so we have a full-on sound stage. Go to combustionlive.com. You can stay in your own house. You can have your own drinks, and you don't have to wear pants.
Tickets are always only
COVID. Yeah.
But it helps performers, like Fortune Themes, still make money and not have to travel and be endangered, so.
Or it gives you something to do because your muscles atrophy if you're not performing.
Well, that was great with the Titus episode. I mean, that was a full-on production. We actually shot, that was a full production. And it came out so, I still can't believe we did it. A, we shot it for him. B, that we got all those actors. And Stacy Keach was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was laugh out loud funny. So I'm proud.
Well, I think when I saw that and I saw the scene, it's the first scene with you, Dave, and Tommy that I went, there it is.
Yeah, right? How weird. You should have seen the first rehearsal. We just had a run through. We all social distanced for the run through. And when Zach was there and Shatra, it was weird. We all kind of were like, it was creepy. It was kind of creepy. Like, wow, we are right back to where we were. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, I just remember one of the shows that you did, and I want to say it was at Acme. And was it at Acme? I think it was. And oh God, no, it was the show that changed names. Of course, a lot of your shows changed names by the time.
For sure.
What was it?
Love is Evil started out as Nobody Deserves This.
Yeah.
They all changed names. So Carrying Monsters was Stories I Shouldn't Tell. Yeah.
And then we kept saying, well, I don't know if that's what it is. Again, a show also becomes what it's going to become.
Amen.
You and I sometimes try and convince him of things that he never listens to.
We gang up on him. But again, I said we all kind of gang up at different times. I remember that Rachel and I would try to get Christopher to change something, and we both say, see, that's what I said. And if he'll dig his heels in, as a good comic should, and says, it's not that I don't want to make it work. I just haven't figured out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, you guys will tell me something. When both you guys get on, I do consider it. And so you guys will tell me, I'll be like, And then 2 weeks later, on a show Friday, fuck it. And I throw it out. And if it works, she's actually been waiting for me off stage. Like she'll come in the show and she'll walk right up to me and go, me and David, me and Billy told you. That's how it's gonna work. Yeah, me and Billy told you. Take it. Yeah, so I've had it stuffed. I asked a couple of times that you guys' suggestions have been right. Okay, they were right.
There were also wrong ones. I mean, I have come up to you with Christopher sees the piece of paper come out of my pants. He's like, "Oh no, there's a page. There's a page of notes." But I do remember Rachel's last run through. I said, "Here's the page," and there was literally one word on it, which was like perfect. It was perfect. Yeah. And so again, it happens. I mean, and again, that's the other thing is that none of our opinions, the three of us, none of us are right. This is just our opinion. And, I could say I hate this joke. Christopher knows I complain about the word taint. It is a word I am not a big fan of.
Right.
I like that.
And but he enjoys the word taint. And I have been in the merch line where people say taint. It's a funny word.
Yes, it's a T. There's a T at the beginning and a T at the end. Come on.
Okay. All-time best use of taint in comedy. Do you remember your own joke?
Which one?
Oh, no.
Didn't want a vagina in the White House.
Yeah, we didn't want a vagina in the White House, so we voted for the other side of the taint. Probably
Good joke.
Probably one of my best jokes.
There you go. Well, since we're oh God, we're already going long, but that's all right. This is a clip that Rich, what'd you say? Sorry.
We have lives, Billy. Yeah, you're going.
Yeah. Did you finish those closets? Are the closets done?
Okay, look.
I don't know. I don't have one. She has. Are your closets done? I don't have a closet. I have a
okay.
First of all, let me just tell you, my luck. Like, I lead the life of a 102-year-old eccentric cat lady, and I am none of those.
Yes, you are not.
And so, first of all, we bought a house, and then a pandemic happened, which was awesome.
And you were filming a special all at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. So now we're unemployed, basically. But I had enough time. I invited California Closets to come out because this house that we bought, it needs closet demolition. It's weird. And so
There's some weird in it.
the lady comes out, and within half an hour, she looks at the closets and says, wow, I don't know what you would do here. And then proceeds to sit at the table. She doesn't leave or call an expert. Then tells me that her mother's still alive. Her mother is, I think, like 100 and low 100s. And that's because in a past life, she set fire to a church because she was trying to burn religious books and didn't know that her mother was inside, and burned the church down and killed her own mother in a past life.
In a past life.
Ah.
And so now in this life, she's been a mother for 100 years to make up for that.
And I was
But
like, well, what's
can
the
she
estimate?
build a closet?
Yeah, exactly. Could you? Yeah, but we want more jacket space. I'm not sure why we got into this.
He knows we just want more shoe space. He knows me.
Yeah,
She had no
I'm not
idea.
allowed to discuss Rachel's shoes.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. But she didn't know how to fix the closets, but she did set fire to her mother in a church in the 1700s. So that's what I got out of the closets.
What a segue to talking about Mom Shell, who I loved. Rachel's mother was great, such a great lady. So's her grandmother, by the way, but her grandmother's a little crazy. Her mother was just your mom was so funny and had such a wonderful spirit about her. I only met her twice, but she was great. And your next show is a lot about her.
Yeah.
My next show that I started writing, I've written about 40, well, maybe I wrote a new bit about getting a couples massage with grandma. You've heard me riff that. That's going to go in that show for a little levity. But my next show is called Beauty for Ashes, and it's about the beginning to end. My mom's diagnosis, me being her caregiver for 2 years. She had pancreatic cancer, and all the way to the very end. And a lot of really hilariously funny things happen during that. So it's going to be funny. It's not going to be sad.
But it might be there will be sad moments. There has to be.
If he can make suicide funny,
Yeah.
I can make palliative care hilarious.
Well, one of the clips that I found is a clip that Rachel and I had talked about that your mom actually liked. Let's see. Now, wasn't Mom Shell there when that aired, Rachel? The exes?
She was here and she loved it, but it was Grandma's all-time favorite. Grandma recorded it and played it over and over and over. Had family would come over, she would play it. She would laugh so hard at that she couldn't breathe. She thinks he's brilliant. She likes him better.
He was such a great guy to work with too. He's really
Wayne Knight.
Wayne Knight. It was like it's so weird because whenever I work with someone who's that famous, I always worry that it's going to be the diva part of it. But man, he was just a normal dude, and he kept going, how do we make this funny? And I go, what do you think? Well, let's do this. And so he was great. It was fun blast. I like playing psycho characters.
Was it because you don't do a lot of guest spots, so how did that come about?
Michael and Mindy Schulteis, who were producers on Titus, just called me out of the blue. I am thing about comedy. I would see all these comics and actors, and they stopped doing comedy, and they because they got on a show for 3 years, they got 5 commercials. I thought that was going to go forever, and I watched them because I started at 19, and I watched them, and I was like, job, but comedy I will never give up. I will probably tank out like the guy that died on stage.
Yeah, not yes, I do know. I can't.
He's doing a bit,
Do you know
right?
he's an old guy from those Drag Race movies, of Beach Blanket Bingo movies, and he was doing an anger management bit, and the bit was he starts out calm, teaching people anger, and as he's going through the bit, he starts getting angry and he starts dancing around, and he goes down on stage. Well, the problem was the bit fits perfectly. Like the ending is you have stage for 4 minutes, and the students he was performing at a college were like ha ha ha, and they laughed while he died, and then they checked on that, and I would say, you know what I would say to that life? My tombstone would say "nice closer." That's what it would say.
Dick Shawn.
Dick Shawn.
Dick Shawn, thank you. And I think wasn't it a televised thing?
No. He was just doing live performance.
He was performing at the University of California. Interestingly enough, if you search, you can find so many things on the internet. If you search, this is an article and it's titled 10 Comedians Who Died on Stage.
It's a way to go out, bro.
Well, who knew there were 10?
And
well, that's 10 people we won't have on this show.
One in 2019, Ian Cognito died on stage in London.
Ian Cognito, what a good name.
Oh, I just got
It's very English, isn't it? Yeah.
Ian Cognito.
He had to sit down on a stool. You know, have you seen the video of D.L. Hughley?
Oh, right.
When he found out he had COVID, saying he had to sit down on the stool and then fell backwards into the wall and off the stool. I mean, you can see how it could happen because, you know, when you get on stage, you have this odd euphoric immunity no matter what's wrong with you. And then you get off stage and you're sick again or your foot is broken again or whatever. And so I could see how that could happen.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm going to keep going. The point was we got off track is that
that's all right.
I will never stop doing comedy.
He wants to die on stage.
I don't want to. I'm not saying I want.
You're not planning it.
Psycho people watching this go, well, that's what he said he wanted.
No, he's not. It's not a birthday wish.
Speaking of which, you both celebrated birthdays last week.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And hers was amazing. And we had friends come over, and she got a piece of art she wanted, and she took care of me. And
the champagne she wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, I'll tell you about that champagne.
Okay, please.
Because I know he won't watch this. So Tony Horton, the P90X fitness guy, his wife and I have become very close friends. Her name is Shauna. She's awesome.
And you know I love Shauna.
She is awesome. Oh, we had fun that night. So
yeah, we did.
I got to the house and Tony does a fitness camp a whole weekend called Paragon, and it's mind, body, wellness, and everyone's working out, and eating healthy, and learning how to better their lives. And we have lunch, and he goes back into the seminar, and she goes into the garage and comes out with a bottle of 2004 Dom. So we were drinking that champagne during the fitness camp while we were all working out. And he can't know this though, but he doesn't watch anything on the internet.
He'll not see this.
Yeah,
that's who I married.
Speaking of toxic masculinity.
Oh, and then he had me speak at this positivity seminar thing where he's all talking about while her and Shauna are sitting in the back drinking champagne.
No, tequila. We had moved on to tequila.
Yeah, they're drinking tequila and heckling. They were heckling at the seminar. It's pretty awesome.
Now, I just remember your after party. Tony didn't come to the after party, but Shauna and I hung out to the bitter end, and we closed the joint.
Shauna she's a very cool chick and fun too. So we transitioned after dinner. He still didn't know to tequila in sippy cups, and we did sit in the back of the gym and heckled while we drank tequila.
Awesome.
It was a great birthday. Yeah.
All right, man. I'm going to head to the studio, man. I got to start rehearsing. I literally have started rehearsing Carrying Monsters so I don't do what I did last time with it.
Oh, well, please, you don't want that. But let me just ask you a question before you go. So somebody asks, do you two think your comedy actually came out of pain in your life as an insulator for emotional survival? Well, I wouldn't use the word insulator, but you guys answer.
For me, you know what it was? There's a bit that Pryor does in the Long Beach special. And I got it when I was younger. He does it's a couple of bits, but in that special, he does this bit about having a heart attack. Mm-hmm. And you know the bit I'm talking about where he's laying on the ground and I'm talking to him. He goes, I'm sorry, I won't do it. You weren't saying that you're on that motherfucking pork. And Pryor would do stuff where he would walk you through the darkest story, and he never let the feather drop. Like why was called that laughter, keep the feather up. And I got it when I was watching that special. It was me and Jim Brewer on the road years ago watching it. And I got it in that moment that he could make anything funny by being painful. So when I wrote Norman Rockwell, I just wanted to drag my mom's suicide, flipping out on the airplane, my ex cheating on me for the first time and I still married her. What a moron. And I just think that it's not an insulator from it.
No, I wouldn't think so. It's a coping mechanism. It's a
it's a roto rooter. It's a pain roto rooter. It just goes into cleans out all the shit, and next thing you know, the pipes are working again. That's
And you know what it is for me too? It's a way to work through frustration. Like being a woman growing up in the South, all these things about you can and can't do and say and whatever. I mean, certainly as a gay man in the world today, sadly enough.
She's talking about herself, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
That
three of us, frankly.
Yes. So you suddenly have this forum where you can get up and you can work it out. You know, that bit that I do, the guy on the cross, that is based on family members and a pastor of the church when I was little. And it's me kind of getting out that frustration and working through it. And as he has said before, being able to see the absurdity in it. When they laugh, you're like, oh, right, it's funny.
Yeah, and someone said years ago, they said that go as specific as you can in your pain, because the more specific you get, the broader you become. Everybody doesn't have your pain exactly, but we are all the same machine, and the same thing happened, the same shitty thing. We're all going to have people die in our lives. We're all going to have people go crazy in our lives. We're all going to get relationships, our heart tripped out. So
somebody gets sick.
Yeah, don't ever say you ever notice, because we're human, asshole. Yeah. We get it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Oprah, and I almost never quote Oprah because I'm not one of those people. But but Oprah said something about rewriting your history, and it's sort of like what a comedian does is you go back and really look at it and examine it and see it from a different perspective. Is how is this ridiculous, and how would it have been easier to deal with at the time if you were able to laugh at it?
Yeah, also, therapy costs like $150 to $250 an hour. Instead of that, I get to tell people, and they drink and pay me at the end. So I just figured out a way to do it, because it literally is. It is clear. What happens is, the first time I did, I'll just take a quick story. The first time I started writing about my mom's mental illness, I started crying on stage. I was on stage. I was in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. I'd written 12 jokes about my mom going into a mental hospital. And by the time I got to the fourth joke, I started choking up because I was kind of going through it. And I started to tear up on stage, and the audience, it wasn't good. The audience was like, the fuck is, because the jokes were funny. They were like, what is going on? So it kind of tanked that night. And then I kept doing it every night. And about the 10th show, all that pain and bullshit about my mom went away. And it became this absurd way to look at her mental illness, and they were just jokes at that point. And that was the first time I noticed it. So now, listen, the reason I write comedy is so I don't go in and, shoot up a restaurant. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, well, I have friends that are actors and singers, and they will, the first time they go through read a role that's really emotional, they may cry through it, and they say, I have to get this out now, because eventually, to make the audience cry, I can't cry.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's going to, and it's the same thing with comedy. If you want them to laugh.
That I broke in the stuff about mom and her cancer, and also he put me up to it. At the end, there's a place where I'm screaming at God, and then I bring it out with a laugh, and I'm on stage in this black box theater in Austin, and I'm screaming at God, and I have tears pouring down my face. And so honestly, that one, because of COVID, I probably will do that again the next time, because I haven't had 10 shows to clear it yet.
Can I be honest? I created a monster. Yeah. She did it once in Chicago, this bit she was mad one night in Chicago, did the bit about her mom. She goes to Austin, and and it was this really intimate theater, and it was like 300 people, but they were stacked around you. Mm-hmm. And I said, they're right here. I go, if you lie to them, they'll know. And I go, just do this stuff about your mom. She goes, I haven't written it. I go, no, go do it. So she goes and does it, and for whatever reason, because the energy in the room, because you know how the audience lets you.
For whatever reason.
No, because the audience, they were great.
At the end of the day.
Sorry. Let me get, because you're so brilliant, and everything you do is perfect, and it was awesome.
Not for whatever
being said.
I poured my heart and soul into it, and I know how to write a joke. You asshole.
You were riffing it though.
That's another way of saying it.
She hadn't written it, so what I meant was, the audience is so great in the sense of listening to her that they
shoveling. Let them get out of this.
Yeah, they were in it. They were in it, and I'm waiting. She did 20 minutes. She gets to the end of it. She's screaming at God. The audience, 20 minutes in, opening act, she got a standing ovation. And then all I'm thinking is, I gotta follow this shit.
I believe is what I've seen Rachel come off stage and turn to you. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's usually because I don't like them, though.
Yeah.
That is so not true. Before we let Christopher go, Christopher and I, before the show started, I had said, after watching all of his specials back to back, which I hadn't done in a long time, I said, you are like the prophet of doom. You are like Titus. And I just have this 1 minute clip that I think this is right after September 11th. And I think that it kind of made me realize if we could get past that, we're going to be able to get past this. So just take a look at it. It seemed like such a simple time back then, doesn't it?
Yeah, we were all so young then.
Do you know what's interesting? My mom adored Christopher. I married my mother. You know that.
I know that. Yep.
She adored him. My mom was a classical oil painter, and she used to paint to that special over and over and over, like music. She would play it while she painted.
Her cows were amazing.
Shut up.
Well, on that note, I think I should let you go. Although somebody asked, would Christopher do Dancing with the Stars? Now, there's the question of the day. I think that's the question.
No, but he can drop into a full split at a moment's notice on a dance floor, even when it's not appropriate.
No, I would never. It's weird, man. I have this thing about what I would never. If you want to do Dance to Start? Nope, not a chance. Nope. I care about the brand.
Oh, and it would be contrary to the Titus brand.
It would definitely
be doing a paso doble.
Or I'd be the worst guy. I could just, me. You know how I filter myself all the time, and I'm so diplomatic. I'm sure it would be perfect.
Yeah, the show would be canceled in a second. Christopher, Rachel, thank you for doing the show. First off, I just was kind of selfish because I miss seeing you. I mean, I just wanted to chat with you.
Yeah. Billy, thank you so much for having us, man. It's always fun. You are always, and for all the years of helping me, giving me notes, even when the show didn't go the way I wanted, and I see you walking up with a page, I'm like, fuck, here we go. And you have helped me so many times clean up something, or like, there's a couple nights at Flappers you gave me something, and I remember thinking, holy crap, I never thought of it like that, and it changed a bit. So thank you, my friend.
Except you told me I couldn't wear Louboutins on stage. The red
jacket.
I
did. I know. I know. But there was, thank you. And I have said this to people, and I've said it on stage. One note I gave you, and I can't even remember how many specials ago. And I have written for people. I mean, I've written for Joan Rivers. I've done things. But when I saw one of your specials, and I don't know if it was a line or a turn or an edit, and I saw it on stage, to see somebody who affects you actually do something that you wrote, it's just extraordinary. So, I mean, you've given as much as you've taken.
And I still haven't paid you for that, but
no, you have paid me plenty. And I'm ending, and plus I have my gay wife right there. So it's
much love, Billy. I'll talk to you, brother.
love you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for Billy Masters Live. We, of course, went well. Rachel, if you stay for a second, I'll talk to you afterwards, because I see him running away. He's got stuff to do, that Christopher Titus. Anyway, thank you for watching Billy Masters Live. Do not forget, Thursday, we will have John McDaniel here, 3 p.m. Until then, I have been Billy Masters, and remember, if we're here, we're live. Bye, guys.